Literally tried. She took me. Sorry. I think you were like,
Now, those of you who are juniors will not most likely get to test today. Grades are power school. Alright? But I'm not holding all of that until after the junior class meeting.
can you hand it to us right now?
Put your butts in a chair and get your openings out. The bell rang. Hurry up. Okay. Class goes on today while those of you who are at the junior class meeting are at the junior class meeting. So, do what you need to get done. Well, they're going to rattle on about the rules and all that crap they normally do.
Yeah, they're going to say about small.
They gave me t-shirts. I got it.
I wonder if she has a
Oh my God.
Why not so loud?
I don't know, Joe. Yeah, I didn't keep it.
Yeah, I'll write it down.
I'm not crying again. I already cried.
Okay.
It's not a big deal, but
No, I told you not to hand me this. I didn't know
What? Come get it, though.
Why are we using this?
Because we'll be on your next test.
Yeah, I did that.
All math. All stoichiometry mixed up. Now, to answer Linda's question, she wants to know why this is the opening. Your next test is all of the math stoichiometry mixed up. So this will be on the next test. So if you're Annabelle yelling, I forgot how to do this, this is on next week's test. She just said spoken to the normal boy. Alright, so this is on next week's test. We're only learning 4 kinds of problems in the next 2 days. And then we'll be ready to test. We'll be early next week.
to test again.
Yeah.
Wait,
Early next week.
I'll study that and then bring my grade.
So we haven't had an opening for.
You didn't have an opening yesterday. So it would have been what, Friday?
Yeah.
So what opening number are we on?
The last one was on the 1st, right?
Today is on 6, but today's on 6. Like,
Yeah, today's opening 6, but the date is the 5th.
Okay.
Stand here.
I'm there.
What are you doing?
I'm trying You're lacking.
Today is the 5th. Now, for those of us who are not at grab and go, the tardy bell rings at 10. You've had 5 minutes to do the opening. Okay? You're down to less than 5 minutes to finish the opening. If we're not going to work faster, I'm not going over the openings. I'll just collect them when we're on day 10. I don't need the practice. I'm fairly certain I can work that. And I'm fairly certain I can make 100 on the test. You don't need 10 minutes between 9:55 and 10:05 to put your butts in a chair, to get out your work, and to get started. Some of us need less practice. Some of us need more practice. Overall, I felt pretty good about where we were on the test yesterday. If you are in the category of you need help, I will be here today, and I will be here tomorrow after school. Those balanced equations are not going away. They will still be with us the next few days as we learn the new math. You will have to write equations, and you will have to balance equations. I am not planning to work most of that test today. The two folks who are absent, I will be here today and tomorrow. I cannot stay beyond 4:40 probably either day. So, Sarah, if you want to do like Jayla, you can't do it in about an hour and 10 minutes. You can do part of the test today, part of the test tomorrow. Okay?
Then tomorrow to make it like this.
That will be fabulous. I will be here.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're approaching the end of the quarter in the next couple weeks. All right, if you have missing work that is still hanging out there from earlier in the quarter, you need to get that made up. I'll be here Tuesday and Wednesday this week. Next week I'll be here Monday and Tuesday. Okay? So if you have stuff that's missing, please come get that made up. Don't leave them as zero, even if you're not going to do great on it. A 50 or a 60 is a lot better than a
Pardon the interruption. At this time, we need all 11th grade students report to the auditorium. Please come in a quiet, orderly fashion, filling in all of the seats in the front, middle, and going back. Thank you.
No, it's really a waste of time.
It's not people like us. It's not for people like us. It's not for like.
Right, today, I think so. I mean, I don't have.
Whenever we have to find like the total mass program.
Right.
We have the capstone program, and then do we have the program software process upcoming software?
Wow, this is all the
software.
Yes. Software.
Something similar to the AP program, but like you get an extra thing when you get your diploma or something.
Why are they just start that now when the freshmen barely do anything?
Right.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Do my opening.
We'll do.
We're not waiting on them.
Sheesh.
I don't know. I'm just.
Software converting these to moles.
Okay.
So the only one I still had a test for was Faith, and 2 people were absent here. That shouldn't be the only person.
What was the high score?
Absent is Faith.
Okay. Cool.
The highest score is probably 90 something.
No, for real?
I bet you it was. Yeah, probably.
Wait,
Where
so
is
now
it?
they only give me this. They only give me this.
You want the book?
Yeah, you want the book?
Really
Wait, is
No,
it the
she
book
turned
or
this
is
into
it your name at the top?
Yeah, that's all.
But where did we kind of twist?
Avocado's
You
number.
got higher
What is
than
that?
Wait, you got 20, 30, and then Alan got 21.
I thought it was 22.
Oh, this is the
Oh, back in the end, like, I feel like.
No, this is- yeah, I feel like if I take it
again, I'm just gonna like.
Are you saying like this?
Yeah.
What did you get?
You got 25.
20.
I got a 20.
Yes, I mean, that's not good.
Oh,
I was just like.
No, that's not good.
Because I was overthinking.
Oh my
Like
God.
that.
Y'all have the opening done.
Average
I'm trying to get it
I
now.
got a 32 and I got a 20 with it. I'm disappointed.
I don't know what time.
Raquel.
Yeah.
That's not what I asked. I'm not interested in those scores. I'm interested in that.
I wish you were interested.
And I was very kind and let you go get that. Now do what I asked.
Okay, I ain't even want to offer that.
If you were done with my opening, I'd be more interested in comparing. Yeah.
So for the first one, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I convert everything, it's like percentages for like each element in that
No.
compound.
No, you converted it to.
I can't remember, bro.
You, I mean, it's like the.
No, I don't remember.
That you have,
This
you, for, to have
It's a
the.
3-step chart.
Bro, I'm still doing it.
I forgot how to do this for real. Avogadro?
Yes. Yes, that's
Just
really.
one, that way.
Avocado.
I need a freaking.
Oh, never mind, I'll tell you.
Who got the highest score on the test? AKA, what was the highest score?
The high score was a 97 and Karen got the, no, sorry, Cecilia got the high score.
You said 90 city. Miss Wall,
Yes.
what do those two things mean? Like an arrow with the triangle on top.
Means he is added.
Wait, what?
He did not.
So-
He did not.
Okay, so what's AQ?
Aqueous is dissolved in water.
See, we
I
tried
had to
to
spell that.
AQUEOUS.
I did
We
not
did
spell
spell
that.
it
Like, could we still have gotten
She
it right?
put
Because it's all blue water.
Yeah.
What if I put mixed with water?
I just kind of.
I'd say dissolved.
Okay, I'm stuck in the two. I can't even do
All right.
number one, cause I'm trying to
Yeah, I
add.
forgot.
Alright, so these are 3 typical questions you're gonna see on the test early next week. Okay? Next week.
Hold on, wait a
I'm telling you, we're only learning 4 questions this week to go with stoichiometry.
Wait, we're learning for what?
4 problems. And then we're done with the math and we're going on to a new topic. 4 problems.
So the test is only on that S word?
It's on all, we've already done multiple types of stoichiometry. Okay? So we're gonna add in the 4 new types, the 4 new problems, and then we're gonna blend it all together. So the next test has 14 total problems, I think, on it. Okay?
On a Monday, is it?
It's possible. It'll either be Monday or Tuesday.
Okay, Tuesday, you make it Tuesday.
Do we have anything going on Tuesday?
No.
Okay. I don't care. I can teach something new on Monday if we're done on Friday. So, in number 1, we're going grams to formula units. So it's got to be a 3-step chart. Okay? Grams to formula units. All right? So, what did that give us in the question?
76.34.
Okay? So 76.34 grams. We go grams, moles, moles, to formula units. What if we learn goes beside moles? What if we learn goes beside formula units?
6.22 times 10 to the 23rd.
Okay? Now, from there, grams we know comes from the what? Okay, so what formula did I give you? So we need to write this formula because I just give it to you in words, right? So sodium is Na plus 1. Dichromate is Cr2O7 with a -2. Parentheses, bring your 2 down, bring your 1 down, get rid of that. How many sodiums are there?
2.
How many chromiums are there? How many oxygens are there? Times 23, times 52, times 16. What's that? 46, 104. What's that one? 112. What do you get when you add that up?
262.
And then calculate.
That was so much simpler than I thought about mine.
For some reason, this is the only thing I'm actually decently good at.
I was decently good at it when it was like 3 weeks ago.
Right. Yeah.
Well, you need to get decently good at it again.
I don't know.
So how many significant digits are here?
4.
So I need 4 of my answer. So 1.754 times 10 to the 23rd formula units.
I'm gonna get back to these.
Nope, we're on day 30,
What's that?
halfway. That would be day 60.
We stopped caring.
What's on day 60?
I stopped worrying about significant digits.
Thank God.
Are we ever gonna stop doing math?
Well, we're getting ready to switch next week to something that's non-math.
What's that?
Is it just me? I got that too.
Well, it's just different.
That's scary.
It's just different.
When we start doing the fire.
All right. Thinking about doing a lab next week. All right. So, what is the molecular formula of a compound? How do we do molecular formula?
It's the mass times the percentage plus the mass divided by all of it. Or is that the, are we doing it?
Do we have the empirical formula first?
No.
We need the empirical formula. Okay.
So we're gonna divide by the smallest.
We need the empirical formula before we can do anything. Okay. That's first. Once we have the empirical formula, we can do something with it. Okay. So how do we find the empirical formula? We need it first. Okay, so change the percent to grams. So we have 75 and 25%. So we have 75%, work with me, board. 75% carbon, which I'm going to take off and I'm going to write G, and 25% hydrogen, and I'm going to write grams of hydrogen. All right, I heard somebody tell me to do what with that? Change it to what? Change it to moles. So we change that to moles of each of them. So 1 and 12, 1 and 1. So I get 25 moles of hydrogen. And then what? 75 divided 12. I get 6.25. So what do I do with those two numbers of moles?
Divide them by the smallest.
Divide them by the smallest. So 6.25 is going to be 1. 6.25, I think that was 4, but let me check. Yep, 4. So I get CH4. All right, and now I have CH4, and I have a mass of 64. So what am I going to do with that mass of 64 and that CH4? I need the mass of what? CH4. So C is 1, H is 4 times 12 times 1. I get 12. I get 4 for a total of 16. All right, so I'm going to take 64 and divide it by 16. And what is that, 4?
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right.
It is.
4. So that 4 means the formula was reduced by what?
4.
It was reduced by 4. So that means we take the 4 and we multiply it by CH4. And we get what?
C4 H16.
And that's your
Okay, I
formula.
can do that. I can do that.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The last one is the one y'all were talking about a minute ago. Percent composition. All right. So we got AL. So we need the mass of the compound. How many aluminums do we have?
2,
How many O's do we have?
3,
So times, what's the mass of aluminum?
26.9.
I'm going to round it to 27 because it's easier on my math. So that's 54. It's 48. It's going to be what? 2 carry my 1. 102?
Yeah.
Okay. So the percent aluminum. How do I find the percent aluminum? Yep, 54 over 102. And I want a percent times 100. So to do the percent oxygen, what's the percent oxygen?
48 divided by 1.
times 100. Okay, so what do I get when I do this? It's gonna be pretty close to around 52-ish. What'd I get? 52 point what? So 53?
Yeah.
So this one's gonna be what, 47? Any questions? Any questions we just have to know about the test?
Yeah. Can we do number 4? That one took forever.
Yeah, I took forever too.
On 4?
Yes.
I took forever on 1 and 2, and I still couldn't get them. So
No, for 1 and 2, I got those. Those were pretty.
I didn't.
They were not-
And I put the 2 in the front, and I still couldn't get it. And I gave up too. Terry, I didn't have a hydrogen.
I got them. I thought you got 1, 2, and 3.
I was wrong.
5, but I still get 4.
I got this whole thing right.
Miss Wall, I have a question.
What?
Apparently, I needed 3 points.
Oh, wait. Maybe I don't.
All right, on the first one, you have 8. So most people probably put 8 there. There's 18, put 9 there. That made 16 plus 9. 16 plus 9 is 25. Can you get 25 on the other side? The first one,
Oh.
because Linda said she got several of these wrong.
Yep.
So I'm trying to fix it for her. So we put a 2 out front, right? So once I put a 2 out front, how many C's is that?
16.
So I put 16 here. How many H's is that?
36.
So I need 36 here. So I'm going to put 18 there. All right, that's 36. Now count your O's. 18 or 16 times 2 is
32.
18 times 1 is
18.
what's 32 plus 18? You got a calculator.
It's 50.
How do I get 50?
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, I'm so slow.
That's how I did it. But
That would be correct.
Wow.
there was a point where like
I raced so many times. I spent most of my time.
there was like a couple of questions where like none of like the numbers I was using, so I just like put in a random number and it somehow works. Like
I just
if it's not
can't
like
add.
2, I just put a 4.
All right, so this one.
Or didn't work, I put a 3 and a 3.
Most people probably started with that and put a 2 here.
Yeah, that didn't work.
All right, that made 6 H's. So they probably put a 3 here.
Yeah.
And they got 6 plus 3, and they're like, I can't get 9.
Yeah.
But there's a 2 already there. What'd I tell you to do if the 2 didn't work? I told you to put a 4. I said keep going up in even numbers. So put a 4 there. How many N's is that?
4.
So put
A
2. How many H's?
12.
How do I get 12?
6.
How many O's is that?
12.
How many O's is that?
6.
So 12 plus 6 is?
18.
Oh my gosh. Like,
Or what I would do, I find like the common denominator, not common denominator, like the common factor.
You could do that too.
But
All right.
it doesn't work all the time.
Yes, it does. And I don't know how many times we balanced number 3.
I thought we already did. I want to.
I got it wrong because I wrote an extra 2. I wrote a 2 and
I used KOH. I used NaOH. It was in openings. It was in I don't know how many things. The reason y'all got it wrong is there's how many H's?
There's 3 H's.
So what did I tell you to put right here?
2.
Because that makes you have how many H's?
4.
4. It makes it even. So then you can put what right here?
I would have had the question
right.
I would have had it.
I didn't add the hydrogen.
Because every time I do these, I think I have to write it.
Somebody run over to Miss Thornhill's room and tell her I'm down to 16 minutes of battery life.
I'll get there before
Oh,
you.
wait. I was gonna find it.
I hope that's what's loud in my head.
No, I'm not looking back there.
But I don't.
All right, so that is 2 O's, 2 O's, 2 RB's. So we need a 2 there.
I didn't get a single one right. Like, I'm right.
What are we doing, sorry?
All right, what else other than Linda's 1, 2, and 3 that she asked
We
about?
definitely need to do the ones on the back.
Number 4, yeah.
All of them.
No,
I'm not doing
it.
The door is locked that way, so Kevin, you can go.
Go the other way. I tell her I need my charging cord.
You get number 24.
Wait, I have a question when I come back.
Hurry up.
What number is this? Number 5, number 4.
This one's 4 for Rosanna.
The arrows are. Here.
Oh, I put changes together.
Arrow with a triangle.
All right, Rosanna.
Because there was a lot of numbers, and
It
that's
doesn't matter.
that's where I tried finding the
It doesn't matter what's inside.
Yeah, I knew that.
Pick something that has a big number. First, put parentheses around the PO4. I'd pick something with the biggest number. For me,
The PO4 is 7.
I would have picked this. It's got a bunch of numbers on it. There's how many here?
3.
It's how many here?
7.
Put a 7?
Yeah.
And a 3.
That's what I did.
We made how many RUs?
14.
Make 14 RUs.
So put a 14 there.
How many PO4s do we make?
14.
Make 14 PO4s.
You put 2.
How many MNs do we make?
What the heck? 6.
How come only physical science has to go
Wait
over
a second. Okay, so.
Because I hadn't finished writing the
Okay, I got
thing because
7.
Mr. Wardlow and all them were up here first period, so I didn't get a chance to do it.
Oh my god. Don't look at her. See,
All right.
I didn't realize there's 3 hyphens in number 2 and that made me, and number 3 and that's made me.
see, I do.
All right. So if we look at the activity series for, was it Hallie who said that?
Wait, yeah, okay. So number 3.
I'm pulling up the activity series. Hang on a second. It's coming up.
Wait, we're not done, are we?
No.
Okay.
We're just going.
We're just going to the activity series.
And also, I don't understand how I keep forgetting to balance.
She said she forgot she stole it.
Oh my god.
I think it goes in on this side, somewhere along in here.
I'm telling you.
And then just run it over the back for the time being. I don't care where. Just plug it in. I think it goes inside. Because there's no outlet down there. It's got to go inside the cart. I don't even know where she stole it out of. Put it in the cart for right now. Figure out where it goes later.
Okay.
All right. So when you look at this, you had, Kate, which one are we looking at? 30?
Yes. K plus B.
All right. K's plus 1, I's minus 1. How's this thing not right? And this one's minus 1. All right, so when you look at this, this is got to be, because it's alone, above that. Is BR above that?
Yes. See, that's the part where I can.
Okay, so if you told me no reaction, you lost all 4.
I knew that.
Okay? If you said no reaction, it was minus 4. If you tried to predict and predicted wrong, you got 2 points for having figured out that yes, it did occur. Okay? If you predicted sort of right, but made a small error, you lost 1. Okay? Because this would have been KBR plus I2, and then you'd have had 2s there.
Wait, why didn't you put it with? Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. So, on like 29, I got like a minus 1. Is it because I didn't put?
A subscript probably on MGCL2. You didn't crisscross your oxidation number. So you figured out, yes, it occurred. You came close on the reaction. You lost 1 because your subscript was wrong.
How do you know which one you're looking for to be above the other? Because
The one that is alone has to be above. Yes, the one that's alone. Yes.
Yeah, because.
All right, 31 is the same thing we're talking about right here. All right, copper plus zinc sulfate. So this is what Hallie just asked. Doesn't matter what the oxidation number is, but I told you it's +2, +2, -2. This one is the one that's alone. Alone has to be above.
And it's because it's just
Okay? Copper is here. Zinc is here. Is the one that's alone above? No. So it's no reaction. If you predicted products, it was automatically a -4. Because you predicted that it would occur, and it's a no.
Hold on, wait. Wait a second.
What is the A?
It's
not.
Which one of these things is telling me it's dinging at me?
It's your computer and I plugged it in.
I hate this. You're missing because we were absent that day.
All right. All right. So, what is there anything else on that one? All right. So 20. Which one?
20. Let's do 20.
24.
23.
23 and 24 come from here.
I'm really sitting. I can.
23 comes from right here. Okay. 24 comes from right here. Okay, that was 23, that was 24.
Yeah.
26
Yeah.
was the exception that I told you I was going to bite you.
Really?
Look what she's doing.
That was the exception. Wait, what do you mean?
I was impressed with the number of people who got the exception right.
What number was that? Like I put KOH, I just didn't add the hydrogen.
Yeah, I somehow got that one right.
26.
Okay? Alright, and this,
You gotta get like.
what?
I have one question.
You better make it quick because we're getting
I
ready to
gotta look
stop.
at your charger. Can you go over 13?
What did you do wrong on
It
13?
says I needed a 5.
Because you forgot to balance. You forgot to put a 5 right there. You can bring your 5 down there. I should take more points. I missed that. I won't take it.
That wasn't even a problem.
I'm not gonna take it.
You got spared.
Yeah, that's how you're like the expert at this.
I could have got better from you with the accent.
I think you're out of
Part
practice.
of the drunk came down.
I got hungry. And I didn't get breakfast in the morning.
Technically, that should. Alright, if you will, I need your test papers back. I'm done.
Why? I want to. Why can't I do this one?
Because you can't. We're also done with the openings. Blame the fools who decided you need to do the class video on stuff you didn't even know about.
Always like paper. She says paper. Or she can't say grades. She said, get your paper right. This one said, what's your paper?
So what was the up arrow?
Well, you're gonna keep talking about it, you're gonna tell me.
Right.
On the test, I'm gonna give them credit for it.
Before our contract is up.
Thank you.
Oh, I hope she believes I hate it. Yeah, she don't be wrong about telling me I hate it. Are you serious? Hate is a bad word, because she's one of the
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, her.
No, when I get yours.
No,
Right, you guys are.
She said class of 21.
Y'all in the class of 21.
We said,
But you are our principal.
a lot of y'all are.
No,
even
If you will, find your notes.
At least some of us are gonna be like might be missing the road next week.
Find your notes.
Here, man.
That's it.
Alright, so we're going to talk about stoichiometry today. Now, those of you who missed the opening, the work is on the website. It'll be posted later. You need to make sure you're reviewing how to do those things by early next week. The group that was here who didn't go to the class meeting because they already had their board in class meeting doesn't want the test on Monday. They want it on Tuesday, which is fine. If we finish everything by Friday, we'll just do new stuff on Monday and we'll test on Tuesday. It doesn't matter to me what day the test. We are going to review.
But why did 2 days before, we did the day before, and we learned the new stuff that Friday?
Why would I review for 2 days?
Don't review. Yeah, learn more stuff Friday, and the review on Monday.
Okay, so you want me to just teach, and then teach new stuff,
Yes.
and then skip the review, and then review. I can do that one.
What?
Alright. Doesn't matter to me. I'm just not reviewing for 2 days.
Just so we can review on Monday and not Friday over the weekend.
Friday,
Forget about
we're
it,
gonna
then
learn
learn
new
new
stuff
stuff,
Monday.
and then not.
Right. And then Tuesday.
I mean, we may not get to it for whatever reason. I mean, I may still be teaching on Friday with this stuff. I don't know. We'll just see.
Friday we are learning this stuff. Monday we're reviewing the test. Tuesday the test.
Okay.
Alright, so if we talk about composition stoichiometry. Composition stoichiometry is what we've already done. Alright? Composition stoichiometry deals with mass relationships between elements in a compound. So after you've written that down, I'm going to put these tests up, I want you to give me examples of composition stoichiometry in a moment.
So this is unit 4.
I don't count them. I have no idea. All right. No idea.
Yeah, this is 4.
Okay, it's 4. All right, so tell me something we've done that fits in composition stoichiometry.
The empirical.
At this time, I need all seniors to report to the auditorium. Seniors, please come in quietly and orderly, filling in all of the seats in the front and middle. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, give me another one. Is all we got? Sure.
Like finding a few units.
Oh, they said sure.
There's one more I was hoping for. Yeah. And formula mass is not the only name you could have used. Could you give me another name for formula mass? Molar mass. Any of those are good. Okay? All of those things that we did. And formula units could have been called molecular units or any of the other names that I've used up there, but or molecules. But those are the things that we've done that fit in composition stoichiometry. So any of those things you will see on the test when we take it. Now, the new stuff that we're going to learn about is called reaction stoichiometry. Because now we're sophisticated.
Yeah.
Supposedly. Most of us are. All right, most of us can write and balance a chemical equation. There are a few of us who have some glitches that we need to get fixed. Huh?
What?
I use the glitch.
You are the glitch. There are more than just you, Annabelle.
Oh, I thought you meant like I thought she said acne.
I didn't know what she said.
That's what I heard. I was.
Of course, if you'd stop advertising that you're the glitch, most people would not know that you were or had a glitch.
Well,
You're like a giant billboard.
well, if you just laugh with them, it doesn't hurt as much.
Okay.
You just sit in one in your room.
Along with my sister's
Okay.
She gets it.
All right, so reaction stoichiometry is going to deal with mass relationships between compounds in a balanced equation. So we're going to learn how to do 4 types of equations, of problems, and they're going to look at mass relationships between compounds in a balanced chemical equation. Now, these are not hard. We're going to use a T-chart to do them all. We're going to start easy, and we'll work towards more complex. Now, you only need 1 new skill to do this. You have all the skills except that mole ratio up there on the board. Once we learn how to write a mole ratio, all we're doing are combining skills that you already possess. Okay? Is everyone caught up?
No, not yet.
So other than a slide where we learn how to write a mole ratio, all of our notes are just sample word problems. There aren't really any notes to go with this unit. All right, have I given everybody time now? I don't hear any no's out there. All right, so to write a mole ratio. Oh, I didn't do an example.
Right.
This would be like changing from grams of chlorine to grams of Na.
What does that even mean?
We're going to talk about it. And you're going to learn how. It's not that bad. If you can change from moles to grams, you can learn how to do this. And most of us can do that. All right. So, our only new skill we need is a mole ratio. The only thing we need. And then we're good to go. So, what is a mole ratio? It's a conversion factor that allows us to change from one compound to another in a chemical equation. So, in these problems that we're going to learn to do, you have to have a mole ratio in every single problem. Because a mole ratio lets you change compounds from one equation, from one compound to another. If you don't have a mole ratio, can you change compounds? No. So, in the problems that we have been doing, were we changing compounds? No. So, did I show you how to use a mole ratio? No, because in the other T-charts, you had grams of oxygen, you went to molecules of oxygen. You didn't change from oxygen into something else. It was always oxygen. In the opening question, it said sodium dichromate. Did it change from sodium dichromate into something else? No, it was sodium dichromate the whole question. In this, we're going to change compounds. So, for example, don't get upset. I'm just going to jump ahead in the slides for a few moments. So, if we look at this question, don't write it down yet. I'll get there in a minute. It asks for lithium hydroxide, and you're given carbon dioxide. How many compounds are in that question? 2. Did any of the questions that we've had so far give you 2 compounds in the question? No. They gave you how many compounds in the question? 1. That's what's going to make this unit different from what we've done. Everything we've done so far gave you 1 compound in the question. How many moles or how many molecules of 1 compound? Okay? So, if we have this equation, one that's nice and easy to balance, all right? Nothing complex. So, if I balance this equation, everybody knows this has a 2, that has a 3, that has a 4. Where do the number of moles come from? Hey, right. I went back to where we're supposed to be. All right, where do the number of moles come from? Anybody know?
No.
They come from the coefficients. All right? Yes. All right? The moles equal the coefficients. So, the moles of iron would be 4 moles of iron. There'd be 3 moles of oxygen. And there would be 2 moles of iron 3 oxide. Now, a lot of times people see the subscripts and they want to try to multiply or something else. We do not do that. We simply look at the coefficients to get the number of moles. Everybody with me on that? Okay. So, if I want to write a mole ratio, all right, we simply pick a compound and we put it over another compound. So, pick a compound up there, Madison. How many moles are there?
4.
Okay. So I write 4 moles of Fe over, pick a compound up here, Hallie. Huh? I'm old. You got to talk loud enough I can hear you. Pick something in the equation. Is it oxygen or iron 3 oxide? Okay, how many moles of oxygen are there? There you go. 3 moles of oxygen. That's a mole ratio. Okay? Chris, pick something else in the equation. Okay? Over. Pick something in the equation now, Lasia. I will in a second. She told me to get my big butt out of the way.
Oh, 4 moles of iron.
Okay. All right. Those are 2 mole ratios. Now, I called on different people because to write a mole ratio, it can be that arbitrary. Now, what if I said write a mole ratio of the reactants? Could Chris have picked Fe2O3 if I limited him to the reactants? No. What could he have only picked from if I said the reactants? Iron and oxygen. Okay? Now, I couldn't have limited him to the products because I don't have how many? 1. Okay? Now, why are you lost, Hallie? Where are you lost at? What do I need to go back and explain? You need me to come over there and visit in a minute? Oh, she's just writing?
Yeah.
All right. So, if I want y'all to write 3 mole ratios, can you write 3 mole ratios?
Yes.
Okay.
On the job.
Yes.
No, you have to-
You always have to balance. Always.
Right.
All right. So write me any 3 mole ratios. And I am going to call volunteers up here to write them.
No.
Yes.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Some people volunteer.
Excuse me. You're going to be voluntold to go write them up there. Yes.
I like that. I like that.
Wow, that's not funny.
I didn't mean it to be funny.
That's why I'm still like,
Well,
what
it's
is
still
this? I don't.
I don't know about top, but
Pick a compound,
Can I balance?
put it on the top, and then put a compound on the bottom. You need to balance first. But the point is, it doesn't matter what's on top or what's on the bottom.
But we still do.
I got it.
Look, she got it.
Yes, actually.
She's gonna go.
What's the
Let's
issue?
figure out. We'll do that.
I think it's right. 252. Okay. Yeah. You said do 3?
Does it matter like how you do it? The only thing that I definitely wrote was like. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I said,
Why? It doesn't really matter.
Everybody said What's the date? What's the date? What day of the week is it? Tuesday.
So 2 and 3.
But I'm gonna try. I'll go have fun.
Like with the little ball or.
Like wrestling. Except that they have fun.
Typically, we write the ball first, but if you write it after, I'll forget. All right,
I don't know how to do it.
Y'all got practice today?
let me have, let's see here.
I'll do one. She is volunteering.
Volunteer. All right, let me have Patricia.
Patricia.
You're up, Speedy.
To do all of it?
Do you get ballots? How's that?
Oh,
Ballots.
you're not gonna come at me, that's what's up.
That's a lot of people coming to the short crowd, isn't it?
We gotta balance the equation.
You just
Get
write
out.
this?
Say hey to the camera for me.
You're missing something. Balance your F's.
Oh, yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, these are bad. Okay, that's better. All right, Nadia, you're up.
Where's it? Oh.
Okay.
Fabulous. All right, how about Annabelle?
Ready to do it.
I like your song.
Oh my God, girl.
Does it have to be like the same?
And yours don't have to be identical. Nope.
What if they make identical on job?
If they are identical, it's fine, but they don't have to be.
But
Do we put the subscript with it?
Yep, you write the subscripts. SB what? Oh, what's behind that SB? No. Erase that. What's the compound? SB what? F. What's behind the F? There you go. All right, let me have Caleb. Rolling around on my desk somewhere.
Is that it?
Yeah. Don't write too close to the edge, you'll run out of space.
That's okay.
Use your hand to erase. Kiss or palm? Palm.
Run the board.
And use the end of the pen.
That's good. That's good.
You're gonna lose points for no moles.
That's the mole right there. That's a little smaller.
Okay, dude. You do that on a quiz and you lose points for you. Okay. Caleb's little M that he's got up there will not get y'all points on a quiz because he wouldn't touch the board to erase. Just clarifying there. His mole ratio is fine other than he's not getting points for his unit. All right, Hallie, go write a mole ratio up there.
Dude, if I do this wrong, I'm so bad.
Just don't write one that's assigned.
I'm making sure I don't do. Cold front moved in. Good. All right, you got the idea?
Yeah.
All right.
So it doesn't matter like what you do, what order.
Nope. And you can flip it.
Okay.
All right. The only way I could change this on a quiz is if I said for the reactants. So if I said for the reactants, what would I have eliminated? That's right. You wouldn't be able to use this side, and you would have to limit it to those two. Okay? That's the only way I could alter this. Everybody good with that? Okay. Now, for those of you who are like Annabelle and want titles, here's your title for this one. We're going to do mole to mole.
So we're doing all four today?
No.
So?
We'll do this one and maybe this one. We will not get to 5. We'll do this one, maybe that one. The mole to mole is where we'll start. This is mole ratios. We did mole ratios. We're now to mole problems. All right, yes, and then write the word problem. Like I told you, there are really no notes that go with these. All we will do are word problems, and then we will solve. All of these are word problems. What?
Are we going to need the calculator?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I'm glad.
Well, Chris has a question.
What's Chris's question?
I was gonna say astronaut.
He did.
Karen, quítate la cara de burro.
You're so funny. I
I know,
You're so lucky online.
Cabby, I know we can, right?
What?
That's what we can. After astronaut.
Yes,
I wrote cab.
can be removed.
Cab.
Since it doesn't make sense for it to say
Yeah,
cab.
I wrote cab.
Watch these.
My crackers I normally eat during grab and go.
Can I have one?
No. Think about it a little longer. No.
It tastes better to eat.
Sharing is caring.
But she don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Ask your mom if you can.
She said, she didn't even think about it.
Do we write?
I mean.
The important part is under the equation. I don't care if you wrote the spacecraft part.
Really? Good thing.
Are you serious?
What's your I think she's gonna check her notebook to see.
You don't have.
Well, you know,
she said me, I can't see a problem and not see them.
what do astronauts do when they're going to space?
Yeah,
Study
for-
space.
Brew.
Yeah, they
Cover your shoes.
They just sit there and eat.
Ooh.
Bet.
They
They
say-
liars.
they say-
I'm just gonna bet.
That would suck, like.
Are you
Like if you
sure?
put something out in space and then complain.
Just send me the space.
Oh my God.
Just send me the space. I don't care about the stars.
Let's walk.
Yeah.
You like scientific shows?
Did you ever want to be a scientist?
Like, have you ever watched Stranger Things? Who likes Stranger Things?
Nobody.
Have you watched The Umbrella Effect on Netflix?
That's good.
That show is Umbrella Academy.
Umbrella
Oh, yeah,
That
that show is
shows
good.
That's
I
good.
don't like shows that have one.
This
Oh,
is
it's
good.
so
You should
good.
watch
It
one
looks
day at a
late
time.
on
It's on
Netflix.
Netflix.
It's like
Like
the
the
same.
same.
I haven't finished it yet. I'm watching
It's actually really
good. Watch one episode a night.
All right, we're caught up?
No.
All right, I'm not gonna tell you what to write next time. This is ridiculous. I'll tell you what part's to write. Y'all are taking way too long.
Okay, now.
You put all of that up there.
You were like, yeah, did it.
You did that. Right.
Find out what buying a power is.
All right, well, since there's oxygen in all four compounds, and some of us are struggling to balance in all four compounds, balance the equation. Let's see how you do.
Balance.
I mean, towards.
Some of you will be fine and have no issues. But given that the worst part of the test for the vast majority of us was page 1, balance the equation. Not for everybody,
Well,
for
number 4,
several of us.
I did that good balance.
The rest of that, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. You were rambling on about you couldn't balance, and then I graded yours, and I was like, I don't know what you're complaining about. I mean, there are several people who got 3 out of 5 balancing wrong on the test.
I was just stupid and did
Things or the
Well,
Well,
I don't know, I just have 2 on
I got free Gatorade, the teacher.
Yeah, it might be.
That is wrong. I've got 2 droids.
Well, we know the gives
Outline and.
Actually, you might have told us about it.
how many lithiums do you have?
I just got to the page.
2, right?
Oh!
Yep, we are supposed to.
How many carbons on each side?
One.
All right, how many H's?
2.
One.
There's 2 on this side, and there's 2 already there. All right, now the O's. How many O's are here?
2.
Plus 2 more is 4. 3 plus 1 is 4. Okay, so all you need is a 2 in front of the LIOH. Everybody good with that? Okay.
Why would you?
Now, here's what makes this question different, Raquel.
Why would you have a 2 if it's O3? Oh wait, never.
You with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what makes this question different.
I get it.
All right. It says 20 moles of CO2, and it asks for moles of lithium hydroxide. Every question that we have done up until this question has said find the moles of oxygen, find the moles of sodium dichromate, find the grams of sodium chloride. It's been one compound. Okay? So we are still going to draw our T-chart. Nothing's different about that. The only thing that is different is what's going to go in the T-chart. Now, before, we did not have to worry about putting a compound in the T-chart because the compounds didn't change. Now we need to put our compound in the T-chart because our compound is going to change. Okay? So whatever is on the top, we know has to go where? On the bottom so it can cancel out. So moles of CO2 has to go on the bottom. Now, you're going to ask yourself, you don't have to write this. I'm going to write it on the board, and I'd recommend writing it in your notes just so you have it. But this will be internal conversation as we progress through the week. You will not write this on your paper. All right? Are we changing compounds? Okay? If the answer is yes, you're going to put moles on the top. Okay? All right. If the answer is no, you're going to put grams. Okay. If you answer that no, you're not changing compounds, then you'll put grams. But we're not going to write that yet because we're not answering no. Now, hold on. Okay. What is a mole over a mole?
One.
What did we just call it a minute ago?
Mole ratio.
Got it.
Mole ratio. Mole ratio.
Okay. Now, since this is a mole ratio, all right, if a mole ratio change the compound. Now, the reason I say if is because as these charts get longer, you may not have moles on top of moles. You may have a gram and a mole in the same section. So, excuse me. So if you have grams and moles here, will that be a mole ratio? No. It has to be a mole on top of a mole. So, since you said this is a mole ratio, what compound would you like to change it to? What did they ask for in the question? So we're changing it to lithium hydroxide. Now, what did we learn on the last two screens? Where do the numbers come from in a mole ratio? That's right. In a mole ratio, use coefficients. So, what number goes in front of lithium hydroxide? What number goes in front of CO2? If there's nothing there, what do we know it is? 1. It's a 1. Okay? So this is where our moles no longer get strictly 1s. All right, so this is an easy one to calculate. 20 times 2 is what? 40. Divided Divided by 1 is 40. Now, this has how many significant digits? 1. So our answer is going to have 1. So it'll be 40 moles of LiOH. Questions?
So, I don't know if I like don't got or what, but how do we get, okay, I see how we got the 2 Li. So basically when it's like this, we just do the coefficients. But when it's at 1 mole of CO2, why would it be 20?
Because when it's a mole ratio, the numbers come from our balanced equation. You only get to use the number in the question at the start of your T-chart. You don't get to use it again.
Okay.
Okay, it's just like the other questions we've done.
Hey, but please don't ask her.
What did she say?
Nothing. Don't worry about
Yeah, I still don't really know what it is, but it's fine.
The red one, up top.
I added the coefficient there so that.
The coefficient is the number that was in the balanced equation. It's the big number in front of the compound in the equation.
So the balance.
Yes,
And
that's
if
the
there's no
coefficient.
coefficient, then
Does that help?
yes.
Okay.
Because I'm worried about
And if there's
All right.
a version, then it's 1?
Now, this is more like what you would need in a test. All right, I'll be honest with you. I don't write all the equations on the test.
Of course not. Why would you not?
Now, ammonia is one you also have to memorize. You're not getting that. It's sort of like the 4 acids. You will need to know ammonia on the test. I will not give it to you. Okay, add it to like water and salt. It's one you need to know that ammonia is NH3. It is not on that oxidation sheet. That is ammonium ion, not ammonia. Ammonia is NH3.
Ammonia was the name of the girl that had to do something.
Say what?
I was like, you know, I like.
Sweetheart, you don't write very fast. Instead of sitting there propped up on the counter, could you get
I was
going?
waiting for you to tell us what we had to write.
The whole thing. I was gonna shorten it, but you need to know about ammonia.
Is it gonna be ammonia?
I was so sure, because I was like,
Do I have a sticky note? Yes. Somewhere over here.
Oh, I got a headache, I'm writing scars.
Doesn't like rolling hills across the room.
No.
Right.
Probably didn't know. No.
Miss Wall, do you know Latoya? Daddy.
Name sounds familiar.
She had you.
Where'd that come from?
Because I used to work with her, and then we were talking about chemistry.
I showed you that.
oh, yeah, she told me. Because they decided to have a fire drill here just next door. And they want to let their kids control.
Oh, yeah.
I was squeezing here to like 350. That was
Or is it that is like
But she had her stuff. Well, I wanted to call her brothers, but he always has his phone in his book bag.
turned off.
Why?
I was like, yes, I was like, what do you want him for? I take 2 years. Yeah. So at the door, yeah, carry it to the car. You say you have
We're talking about Louie.
Yeah.
All right, give me a minute. Are we caught up?
Yeah.
So what's produced? All right. I put this in different colors to help you out a little bit. All right. See how it says ammonia gas is produced. So based on your yield arrow, what side does the ammonia have to be on? So NH3 is ammonia. It has to be on the right. What is it produced from?
Nitrogen and hydrogen.
There you go. Hydrogen gas reacts with, does it matter that it says an excess of nitrogen? No. Reacts with nitrogen. So hydrogen plus nitrogen. Now, what do we know about hydrogen and nitrogen?
Diatomic.
They're diatomics. So we got to put 2's on them. Now, some of y'all got bit over and over by those on the test. Not all of them, but you were careless and you've forgotten them in a couple places. Don't do that kind of stuff over and over again. All right, so to balance, 2 and 3. All right, so again, start your T-chart. What did I give you in the question? Moles of what? I gave you moles of hydrogen. So 6 moles of hydrogen goes on the top line. So what has to go on the bottom line? What goes down? Moles of hydrogen. Now, I'm not going to write what we did right here. This is internal conversation in your head. Okay? Are we changing compounds? What did they ask you for? Because you're going to do this even in the old questions because you've got to decide you need a mole ratio. So you're going to look. Are we changing compounds? What did they ask you for in the question? Find the question word. The who, what, why, where, when. How many moles of what? Ammonia. So they want ammonia. They want this thing, and they gave you this thing. They gave you hydrogen. They want ammonia. So are you changing compounds? Yes. So as soon as you answered with yes, what do you know you got to put on top? So you're putting moles on top. All right. So when you've got a mole on top of a mole, what do you know that is? Okay. So if it's a mole ratio, before you even put in coefficients, what do you need to do? No. We already balanced. Change the what? You want to go ahead and change your compound. Because you can't put coefficients in. Do you know what compound goes there? Okay? So what compound are we going to? What did they ask you for in the question, Annabelle? Okay, the girl. So what's the girl? NH3. NH3 goes up here. All right, so now Elijah said use the coefficients. So the coefficients would be what? So ammonia has a what? And hydrogen has a what? Everybody with us? All right, so 6 times 2 is 12. 12 divided by 3 is 4. How many significant digits do we have here? 2. All right, so 4, I need 2 significant digits. What am I going to do with the 4? 4.0. 4.0 moles of NH3.
I really don't like this. Just trying to tell you, right?
I feel really bad.
I can tell.
I'm very remorseful.
Hey, before I leave, Miss Hall, can we go over what was in the quizzes I missed? So studying today.
I'm almost positive it's balancing and word equations and types. There's no predicting.
Might as well just keep freaking down.
Wait, what? There's a quiz tomorrow?
No, she has missing work.
Oh.
All right.
I just wish I had a twin sister that's
See how far you can get on this one before we do it together.
We were told they
Write the equation and then set up the T-chart.
Okay.
I even bolded in different colors how to write the equation.
Oh my God. I just love the competition.
I put it with the M at the end.
Wait, what?
I have to give you something so that you can predict it based on the way we did it on the test. So I'll either say something about single displacement or double displacement or decomposition or something so you know how to predict it. Okay?
I was talking to Marilyn about chemistry today, and they said that your exam is like 3 classes.
Yeah.
And whether just waiting on
Okay.
I'm reading the whole thing.
We do need to.
It's not wrong. No, you don't. All kinds of exams.
No,
Your
sisters are it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the base, like, you need to go ahead and, match up substance, like the, therapy with the.
15 and 16 on the
Yeah,
study
you're
guide.
supposed to match them up, okay. But I thought it was just.
For sure, they can call you. No.
99, sorry.
You never did anything.
Really?
She didn't do anything in New York.
On what? That was no, I had 74. I hated
All right, so we got it?
Then that's about all I have to do. I'm gonna confused.
So you need to write the equation first, for those of you who are like Cecilia over here going, I'm really confused. What does it say right here?
Break it apart.
And I wrote the equation, or the compound here, right? So if you saw that on the test and you had to decompose it, where would you go first?
K plus CL.
Okay, so most of our, woo! Those are those things I wrote. That, and kept on getting it on the test.
Oh, you use those, you know, your orange,
Really have to
your
figure
orange,
it
the orange, the orange.
Y'all need to find the orange sheet. Y'all need to find decomposition. And you need to find the one that matches KCl.
K plus CL plus O3.
It's a
mentality rate.
Yeah.
It's so hard right now.
That is broken apart.
And then, that's why people got -4 on that question on the test.
I did that. I did that. I don't know if the balance is. I probably got -2.
Okay, so,
Love it.
So it's gonna be,
Did anyone get 100 on the test?
no,
97.
97 was high school. There you go.
Are you serious?
Bessie got
Okay, but two the higher take it, they can get higher than me.
That's true. We have 2 people yet to take it, so they could knock her off the high score.
Who's gonna take it?
Let me show you
Jayla and Sarah Lynn.
She meant arts or something.
I don't remember what she got wrong. It was probably parts or something.
She probably did a balance one and then
I bet it was symbols.
1 2-pointer.
Did you get what the symbols wrong?
No.
No. I don't remember. What it was.
Says he.
I don't remember.
I never done that on this shit.
So, what's the equation?
Oh, yeah.
How like you say
KCl plus O2 plus 1 minus 1, they cancel out. Okay? So, draw the chart now. Balance and do your chart. I did not balance. I'm assuming once I got to that far, you can balance it.
Take it from here.
What? Yes. What do we got?
Okay, I don't know how to do this. I got
15.
Yes.
I did it.
Yes.
I did it. I did it.
Congratulations, we are so proud.
I think I
Anyone else
balanced
got
it.
it?
No.
I think I balanced it.
Let's see it balance. Yeah. Draw the chart.
I just noticed, I was like,
Okay.
this
Yes. Yes.
Is this right?
No.
This is Miss Walker.
Okay.
I don't know what to do now.
Yes.
Well, the song goes out.
Is it?
Oh, sorry.
I'll be right there.
Okay, so,
Yes.
I got it, Miss Wall.
All right, who said?
Someone
Come here.
well, you got 97 on this.
Yes.
That's frost.
Here, I cannot get to you. Everybody down that row has like 800 friends.
Somebody actually
The only thing I don't like in yours is where you see how you write this
Wait, we
No, you got 10 more.
I got it. You guys are looking at Wait, don't tell her, don't tell her. I didn't think about it.
I've had people divide by 1 with the calculator, so I'm not shocked.
Sometimes you gotta be sure.
Oh, wait. Wait, did you get 10?
Yes.
You're thinking.
You get 10.
I have a source. Wait, no, you said it before.
Do what?
But 10 is wait, no. Yes, I know.
Oh,
It's just
Are you proud of yourself, Cynthia?
All right. So let's talk about significant digits.
Wait, that also might be right.
So most of you probably put 15 moles of oxygen. You put moles of oxygen on the bottom. You put moles of KClO3 on top. And then you said, okay, I need a 3 there, a 2 there. And then you wrote 10 moles of KClO3. Is that right? Almost. We need our significant digits, right?
You're funny.
How many significant digits are here?
2.
No.
Now, how many do I have here?
1.
So, how can I get 2?
Decimal.
Did you put a decimal there to get 2?
I did.
Very good.
What do you mean?
Very-
10 is already the significant?
The 0 is not significant. So you need a decimal behind it to make it significant. Now, if you did this, how many significant digits would you have?
3.
You'd have 3, so that would not help you, okay? Just put the decimal there and you get 2 significant digits, okay? Now, let's talk about practice. See if we can work out some more glitches here. Now,
Oh,
Yo, is that homework?
well, I don't think I'm going to have to teach the next problem, so some of you will finish. Now, on the front side of this, there are 5 questions. The back side, you will not get to, but we're not going to get to work on grams today. So don't lose this.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Okay.
I want some.
No.
Annabelle, I need that.
All I have is my orange egg
I
lunch.
know.
All right, on the front.
It's like
I didn't know it was on my back. I thought it was like somewhere right here.
Go ahead, Miss Wicker, when you have time. No, I guess. Now, on the front, you have 1 through 5. 1 through 5 are mole problems, mole to mole. That's what we're doing now, and we'll do it till I tell you to stop. If you don't finish this homework, notice that all the equations are what? They're written. All you have to do is balance them and draw the chart. It should take you less than 10 minutes to do your homework tonight.
What's her E?
The back, do not touch. That's with grams. We will do it tomorrow when you learn how to do gram questions.
So we do it this time.
We're doing the mole side, which is the side we just learned how to do.
I don't know that. Oh.
How do you do this?
Wait, my phone was there.
I don't know when I
I didn't study my work.
Wait, what? How did I do some?
Are you sure?
I think
Yay! Am I doing this one? Yes. I probably have to.
So is it smart to balance all your equations before you start?
If you think you're prone to forgetting it, yes. For example, I'm going to pick on Hallie for a minute, but I would say yes to Hallie because she lost at least 4 points on her test because she wrote all of her equations beautifully and forgot to balance at least 4. So I know. So for that type of thing where Hallie has a tendency to forget to balance, I would tell her to balance and then do the work if need be.
Is that right?
But if you're not somebody who forgets to balance, then I wouldn't say it's a big deal to go through balance first. All right, so make sure you went to the right compound, iron hydroxide. Yes. be correct.
And so it's very significant.
Point.
How many of carbon dioxide?
You can have the 0 in the front if you want because it's not significant. So that's up to you. Now, and also, when I grade these, and particularly the quizzes and the tests, it's not about the answer. It's about the work. Remember, calculator error is a -1 or a -2. Okay? I don't take off much for a calculator error. I want the work to be correct. So if you go to the wrong compound and you get the right answer, I'm still going to take off points. All right, so make sure you go to the right compound also. What you gotta go with?
It's two dozen questions.
I mean, I was just looking.
Let's go.
It's two already done. It's two. It's two.
It's possible, yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna write down this. Write down this.
Yep.
Those of,
Which one of those is potassium hydroxide?
yes.
Yep. Then make a bigger space. You got all this space and you're gonna squish that up that tiny little area.
It's too, and then I'm gonna go to, put the heavy in the bottom.
The question was, how many moles of which one?
Iron, 3 hydroxide.
Which one is that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this will be at the bottom.
Yes. Well, not at the bottom.
The top.
The top. See how it says how many moles of iron hydroxide? Which one of those is iron? Yes. Alright, it's 11:37, so if you want to start putting your stuff away in that.
Is this homework?
Yes.
Yeah, but you don't finish your homework.
No, I already That's messed up. You can't take mine.
I didn't take Linda.
Yes, you did.
You shoved it in my face
Thank you.
and then said, take it. I'm gonna come out here and take it.
Yeah,
Yes. Rub your towel.
we do big like
You're
I need 2 calculators.
all right here.
Sit down. Unless y'all just want to stay late again.
No.
I mean, I like y'all well enough, but have a great day.
Hey, Grace.
Yes.
For interruption, Shinovia White and Skylar Roseboro, please report to the main office. Shinovia White and Skylar Roseboro, please report to the main office.